we are focusing our conversation in relation to, we're focusing it on the fate of Ghana after the December 7 elections. Next government, things looking and speak to Dr. Richmond Etiahene. Well, he's known to say things as they are. He doesn't like to sugarcoat. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Morning Star.
Good morning, Nana. Good morning.
I hope you're well.
By the grace of God, I'm doing exceptionally well.
Fantastic. Now, before I delve into the meat of the matter, which is the fate of Ghana, especially after the December 7 election, and then, specifically after this administration, the finance minister has been speaking about Ghana's economy. He says that we have seen a turn around. Is that really what the situation is, and should we be celebrating?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished listeners. I mean, the figures speaks for itself. I mean, if you are going to service a debt, 50% of your export revenue or remittances and exports are going to go in servicing of the debt from 2026. What do we have to celebrate? Anybody who tells us we should celebrate should look at the figures and the data. I'm sorry. I am not being optimistic. But what I'm saying that anybody who wants to speak about the economy, first get your data right. Currently, let me give you the status of the country. Currently, we have a debt of about 55 billion. And the multilateral have about 9 billion. The restructure 13 billion. The domestic debt so much. The energy is not even included. I mean, and the rest are not included. And if anybody wants to celebrate, the first question you ask yourself, what am I celebrating? Are you celebrating the poverty that you have taken the country into? I mean, we should rather be apologizing for what has happened to Ghana. For the first time in the history of this country, Ghana is basically bankrupt. I can say it without fear or favor. The reason being is that you don't have any resources to support your business. You can't support your foreign exchange. You can't support the business. All that you tend to do is be taxing and overtaxing. But you haven't created the enabling environment. Yesterday, do you know he went to the money market, the minister? How can he be borrowing 6 billion consistently over the last 4 weeks? It means that
in terms of treasury bills?
Yes, you're not generating enough revenue. You borrow to pay your wages and compensation. In which country do you behave like that? And then you want people to celebrate. I'm sorry. I don't know which data he's holding, and I don't know where he's coming from. Inflation is way above. If you take Nigeria, yesterday I was speaking on one of the sister stations. If you take Nigerian out, we are the worst country. Consistently, we have an inflation more than 20%. And if you look at the IMF definition of hyperinflation, Ghana is on that trajectory. You can't bring inflation down because if you look at what has happened, inflation was self-inflicted. Now let me explain it. If you go and monetize expenditure, Bank of Ghana monetize your expenditure, what do you want to see? You created inflation and you cannot solve it. That's why you see policy rate up and up and up and up, because somebody has created the problem. So, my sister, if where I sit and the paper in front of me, I think we should be crying and pleading for forgiveness rather than say the economy has turned around. The people who are contributing this, because the fear alone is what makes them make superfluous statements.
But what are they afraid of? If you say you're talking about fear, what are they afraid of?
No, we have seen what has happened in the Sahelian country where democratic government has been overthrown. And this is where the Western world is afraid. that you are trying to prop us up. But the question is that the fundamentals are totally wrong. I mean, in a country where, according to World Bank own data, I didn't say it. That is their own projection. 30.3% are living in abject poverty. Where do you have to celebrate about? When you took over, it was 800. And today we are talking about nearly 10 million people living in abject poverty. What do we have to celebrate? I'm not a politician, and I don't want to be. Let us be thinking about a country like we are setting a new agenda, bringing everybody on board. I will recommend that whoever wins, the first assignment not to give a celebration speech. You should assemble technocrats to go and look at the state of the economy and the state of the balance sheet and the cash flow of Ghana. When we come back, we will see that the country is insolvent, illiquid. Because, I mean, you're waiting for 260 million or 360 million in December, and your CD is running like Usain Bolt. And look, it has never happened in the history of this country. Let me make this statement. Even when we're doing the economic recovery 1 and 2, with all the hardship we had in Ghana, we had never experienced such a thing before. So for me, from data and what I sit and where I sit and the data in front of me, I think it is not time for celebration. Inflation is rocketing. Your currency is running. I mean, you're borrowing like nobody's business on the treasury bill market, crowding out the private sector. They're crowding out the private sector. And then you go around saying that you're creating an enabling environment for private sector. What enabling environment? You are offering 28% treasury bills. How can a private sector compete with you? You created a debt hangover. At the same time, you are creating what we call crowding out. What country are we leaving behind? So, my dear sister, this morning, if you ask me my candid opinion, where I sit and the data in front of me, at least I will even be ashamed about my own self as a Ghanaian, because there is nothing to celebrate.
Now,
go on now.
You mentioned something in relation to, it not being time for celebration yet. I remember that last week when the president, commissioned the Bank of Ghana project, he also did say that the bank square is a symbol of economic progress. You don't share in that opinion?
Thank you very much. Those of us in finance and accounting and banking, asset acquisition is nothing to celebrate because it doesn't add up to liquidity. If you ask the IFRS, they will tell you it doesn't add to liquidity. What has it done? Banks, the Ghanaian banks, let me make this statement clear. Go to any of the Ghanaian banks, including the SOEs, and see how these people are struggling. After the financial sector cleanup, they created a monstrous called GATS at interest rate of 19-point-something%. Mm-hmm. Go and see what it's doing to these banks that took it. Go. I won't mention there are about 3 of Ghanaian banks. One has exited. The other 3 are still in. And they are being suffocated with interest and what have we. So if somebody say that resilience and those English, they use English, you need to have your data to support the banks turning around or resilient. You have NPL. I mean, do you know in the whole Africa, we are one of the highest of NPL. I think the only country that we beat at that is Niger. We have 25%, 24%. And it has consistently been there from 2014. Contractors are not being paid. You can't even pay your energy. And the sad thing about it is that we are playing ball games with Ghana. Oh, when I came, I solved this problem. When I came, you people are being elected to go and resolve issues, not to pass the ball back. Energy has been a problem since 2014. And let me tell you now, the World Bank projection, 2025, Ghana is estimated to incur a debt of 8.9 billion on the energy sector if it's not well managed. Already you have multilateral debt you can't pay, commercial debt you can't pay, domestic debt you can pay. And then you're going to incur another 8.8 billion, not cities or dollars. Go to a World Bank economic data. So for me, they should stop this politicizing and get down to the root of the matter, because the generation ahead of us will not forgive us. Any of us, my age group, they will never forgive us, because we have really, really let the country down.
Now, the last time we had a conversation, we spoke about whether you see, the two major political parties, their candidates. Do you see any solutions in terms of how difficult, solutions for the difficulties we are going to experience come 2025, 2026, 2027 and beyond? That's when we are supposed to be paying our principal and then the interest as well in relation to the numerous loans that we have taken. You mentioned that it was going to be a very difficult year as well. Fitch yesterday also did say that Ghana is going to face persistent liquidity pressures in 2024 and in 2026. Do you feel vindicated?
Thank God. I have to give thanks to the Lord for me to do a paper, for them even to come out. I have said it last week when I had a chat with you. I told you that we are heading to a dangerous trajectory. And I'm very happy yesterday I saw it. And I know Ghanaians, when a white man speaks, you think it's the real. But I have done a work. And I can say exactly what I have in the work. I've said that there's liquidity challenges and insolvency. And this is what we are just saying. Because the maturities have been lumped into 2025 is not a big deal. 2026, we have to pay commercial debt 1.3 billion. And then we have to pay the bilateral 1-something billion. And then we have to even service those debts that were not captured. Some of the debts were not captured.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Our total debt is not 42. Our total debt is supposed to be 55 billion.
I think at a certain point there was an argument over it as to what is above the line and what is below the line. And then, government argued in favor of the current arrangement where some of the loans are not captured as part of our national debt in general.
Whether you capture it or not, you don't capture it. You have a duty and obligation to service it. That is what we should be thinking of. Because they are not gratis. They are not grants. They are not gratis. They are something you have to pay. And the thing is that if you do it very seriously and consciously, something happened in Argentina. Argentina were shipping some goods to Europe. Do you know that somebody in New York was able to take the whole commodity and sell to pay for his debt? Because he saw that the way the debt has been rescheduled, there was no way it's going to be paid. And then they will use crude tactics. And the World Bank can't do anything about it. Especially when you're shipping your cocoa. It will be intercepted on the high seas and somebody will go and sell it because you owe him. The commercial debtors are not a charity. They are real things. That's why they told us recently, the French economic advisor told us, they are not going to joke with our debts, the bilateral debt.
Yes.
Because the way we have messed it up. Let me give you figures. Let me give you a brief figures. According to Bank of Ghana report, total cocoa inflow last year, 2023, 1.2. Surrendered gold portion, 1.2. Remittances, 2.8. Non-traditional, 2 billion. If you add it, it's about 7 billion. And now it's 7.2 billion. You know how much you're going to pay if all things being equal, such people's Bibles. It means next year, if we're able to do 7.2, 50% is going to pay for the debt because we have to settle the 3.5 billion in 2026. Where are you going to get the money from? What have you done to mitigate these challenges? We haven't done anything. All that we go on platforms, speak as if the world is waiting for us. The world is not waiting for us. The English, I don't know, the English are becoming semantics. Instead of we speaking to data and facts, we go there and talk English and get away with it. Speak to this data. Remittances, cocoa, is only 7.2, and you have a debt of 3.5 billion for the next 5 years. How are you going to survive? How are you going to survive? That is why Frank Fitch said it. I just laughed. The liquidity challenges ahead of us. If we want it, we need to have a crash helmet on our head because we are in a dangerous. I am not frightening Ghanaians. I am speaking to the data. I will never frighten them. Let the truth be said and let people know where we are going. That's why I've suggested that. Should any of the people win? I mean, let me comment before I go into the one. I haven't seen any of the 2-3 people talking about this. I don't know why they are afraid to talk about it. I don't know why. Because anybody who will take this country over, my God, if you don't take it, you will run away in 2027, 2028. Because you actually have nothing. You have nothing. And the city will be running. Inflation will be going up. But I have never seen anybody. All that you hear, some people even making some comments and you begin to ask, is it not the same economy that we are playing about? So for me, rating them, somebody will get 3, maybe somebody will get 4. Because I've never seen anybody. Yes, they are below par.
You haven't seen them tackle this comprehensively or even speak to how grave the situation is with regard to the economy.
Yes, because you see, the economy is the center hold of the country, the nation. And nobody speaks about it. All this information I'm giving you, ask them who has been able to go about telling us even the total debt, which is supposed to be settled in 2026. But the data was produced by Minister of Finance. I got my data from Minister of Finance. So if you're going to celebrate your politics on it, because I'm pleading with them. I'm pleading with them in the mercies of God. We should treat this with all speed and alacrity. Because where we are going, we cannot take things for granted. And we should not be making pronouncements as if Ghana is everywhere or Ghana is everywhere. Because the question is that a time will come, people will not even buy your cocoa, so let alone to secure the 1.2 billion. See, because we have not done what is right for the economy. Borrowing was as if it was a free. When I said it in 2017 at Kimpinski in my lecture, I was insulted by most of those politicians. They say, this guy, what is he talking about? Yesterday when Fitch spoke, I heard them talking. I said, look, I have said it already. When I said in 2017, you were insulting me. You were borrowing like the world was coming to an end. Borrowing is not for free. If you borrow, you pay. And if you pay, you can pay through your nose. And we're going to pay, not through our nose. We're not going to pay through our nose. Will be even be easier for us. The resources are not there. Because if the resources were there now, the city will not be going where. And we cannot be sitting here waiting for IMF to disburse $360 million and people are clapping and you see some radio station and you see some people commenting as if that is the problem. That's our problem. 360 million. If they had 360 million, wouldn't they go and pay the Asoglis and those so that the light can go on? They don't have it. Nothing. It's a memo that's not going about. They don't claim what they have. They don't have it. So now, to tell you my opinion from where I sit in the paper in front of me, I will urge every politician that this should be a major topic that they should be talking about. Those who are afraid, maybe afraid they created part of it. But those who didn't create it must make it a topical issue that Ghana is not as it is or as it was in 2010, 2008, 2014, even 2016. Ghana has changed because we have overborrowed. And we're going to do a restructuring that is going to impinge on the foreign resources that will enable us, that would have enabled us to expand the economy, keep the inflation down, keep the CD low. Unfortunately, all these things have been thrown overboard.
But at least, in the past few days, we've seen a marginal stability of the city. That is something that we should be, at least as something we should commend. And then also, in terms of solutions, you've talked about the need for whoever wins the election to convene some technocrats to effectively assess the country's economic situation and then discuss the way forward. Kindly tackle these two things for me. The city the marginal stability we are seeing, and then also the other solutions beyond the convening of technocrats to tell us what the true state of the economy is.
Nana, thank you very much. I'm very grateful to you and thankful for the opportunity. You know, when you see the CD being propped up like we used to do in the 2016 and 2017, 2018, where we'll go and borrow money from the international money market and come and hide it. The little reserves, after paying the disco, the disco empire, when the IMF was giving us money, they didn't allow us to do anything. They said, put this thing on as hold. So that when the first, what we call the disco is signed, go and pay. So I think we paid about 500 or 800 million. So the rest, that is came from the loan. It is what is propping up the city. So the question that much market watchers have asked, is this sustainable? It is not. It's a cosmetic. It's an artificial thing. Because intervening, the way you're intervening, is it sustainable? Posterity will judge us. Let us wait and see after December elections or after January. The CD will be here. The CD will be going, it will be running home. Me, I don't want to predict the figures. It's dangerous because we don't have any resources to shut that. To come back to your question, your answer, the last one. I mean, they were fantastic. When we say we have a challenge, bring people who you don't even like. Somebody like me, bring me. Because me, I don't tell life for anybody. My life torment is God. As I speak to you, the only person I told his lie is the Almighty God and his Son. If you do anything wrong, I will say it and tell you. Because today, you are sitting there. Tomorrow, you'll be like me. You may not even be like me. You may not even be relevant. When I say relevant, in your political sphere when you live, who wants to know you? Because the issue are very simple. Number one, let us look at our physical space. Our physical space is nothing to write home about. The reason being is that we tend to overspend so much what we don't have. That is why we are borrowing like nobody's business on the market. Borrowing and borrowing for consumption, borrowing for salaries, borrowing for wages, borrowing for what have you. That thing must stop. That thing must stop. No, the second one, our tax system in this country, it is only this part of the world, especially in Ghana, where those who have don't want to pay tax. I'm going to give you an example so that you know that I'm not biased. There was, I think, about 4, 5, 6 years ago, 5 years or 6 years ago, I think 6 years, 7 years, they introduced taxes for higher car engine capacity, 3.5.
Yes, they I think they categorize them as luxury.
Luxury. Now, do you know the reason why they stopped it?
There was a pushback, no?
There was a pushback because it affects the higher echelon, the political exposed, the higher network. Not you now. Those who have made it didn't want to pay. Now, let me tell you a story. Somebody came and within, I think, the last 6 years, they said, let us number all buildings in Ghana. Let us go, and they wasted money. You know why they stopped?
Is it that was in relation to the property rates, right?
Yeah. The World Bank in earlier 2019 made a publication about Ghana that if we can number our properties and structure it in a way and have a graduated or progressive tax system, Ghana will be earning 9 billion every year. And because they own the properties or the Agiriganos in the East Legon, what have you, the gated community, they torpedo it. And that alone, instead of you looking at you are taxing using COVID to tax people because it's a consumer, a poor people area who have to suffer. Instead of you looking in, it's happening in Kenya. Let me tell them, Kenya and Rwanda, when the World Bank told them this, go and do it. Today, the Kenya and Rwanda has left the tax GDP of 12% to 28% of the GDP. Property has shot them up. But Ghana, because they all sing the same chorus and sing the same thing, the poor person would have to pay for the rich. But in any economy, like in America or Britain or even in Nigeria, if you work your salt, you pay a higher tax. Property tax, they torpedo it. Because all the money, all the gargantua building, like the Bank of Ghana building, for instance, if it's in Washington or UK, your tax will just take your life off. But we create it and we don't want to. So let them visit the tax structure. Again, another thing, we should stop corruption. Corruption. In the one of the World Bank report, it said corruption is just killing Ghana. Because nobody wants to solve it, because we're all beneficiaries of corruption. Except the pensioners who are sitting at home. Then the next one that has to come in, which I believe is that we should revisit some of the things that energy. I want to say this about the energy. The way we are handling the energy, either we don't understand the problems. Energy is cash. In energy regulation, you don't even appoint engineer to be your MD. You appoint the cash person who understands cash. The engineer will produce the energy, but the cash man or the finance man is going to use it. Unfortunately, we treat it like energy. If you don't look at the energy, Ghana will come to a grinding halt. Maybe not 2026. It will be too close, too far. Because World Bank is saying that the energy will grow, that will go to 8.9 billion. So I beseech all those who are looking for power, forget about your utterances. Bring people who understand the energy and the stakeholders and the players. And let us sit recently to shock you. We have borrowed $260 million from World Bank to look at the energy. Anything you go and borrow. Anything. Instead of you sitting down to find your capacity and what you don't need, and also retooling the system of distribution, you want to do everything. And I believe that they should bring the technocrats again, the meritocracy, those who understand it, and don't politicize it. Don't talk because the Chinese is speaking for you or not for you. Let us bring, because we have only one country. If I don't call it do so, if like last night, for 5 hours I didn't have light. Amin, and nobody even apologized to you, and they will consistently be telling lies. So energy, one of the areas that I recommended, whoever went, take your pride off and let us sit and solve this energy problem. Last but not the least, I have passion for remittances. Somebody will ask me, why do you like remittances? It is our brothers and sisters who have traveled from the harsh economy and working in another harsh environment. When the money comes, instead of we capturing it, tracing it, and capturing it so that we can help the city, we just go and tell people to go and do some companies and take the money away. And when you say it, recently, I've been vindicated, and I have commendation from people from Washington that when I said this about fintech, they were insulting me. And recently, you heard what happened. People have externalized the remittances. Externalized means that the city is churned out here, the dollar and the euro and the kwacha doesn't come, and the city will find its own level. So whoever comes in, Bank of Ghana should not treat remittances as a desk. They should create a whole department like Bangladesh. Because in Bangladesh, they have large numbers in Saudi Arabia. They have created a department whose job is to ensure that all remittances are enrouted through banks. And they capture as close as 90 billion, 90%. And if Ghana can do that, we only capture 2.8 according to World Bank. The last year figure was 4.7. So 1.8 billion didn't come, has gone into people's pocket. And this is bigger than cocoa. And this is bigger than gold. Why can't we spend our efforts to track where the golden egg is? So I will plead with whoever comes, 2019, NAT 987. And let us revisit it so that we can ensure fuller compliance of the Foreign Exchange Act 206723. If we do that, if we can capture World Bank say 4.7 and we capture 2.8, it be a difference and who can support even the payment of our debt in the future. So I'm giving them free advice. They should do it and it will help the nation to solve the problem. Now, I thank you for your incisive questions.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and it's good to always speak to you. Like I said, you don't sugarcoat your words. You tell us what it is, because most of the times, depending on whose interest it serves and how the figures are interpreted or what we are told. So it's good to hear from you.
Now, when he serves the interest of God and to him alone, glory and honor and adoration belong to him.
Absolutely.
If you serve any human being, he will die and leave you in abject, not poverty. You find yourself going to hell. And I don't want to. I will speak the truth. Galatians 4:16. It said, because I will speak the truth to you, would that be your enemy? I prefer being an enemy of all Ghanaians to be set free before my maker. He's the one that I'm afraid. I'm not afraid. Good morning. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you so much for talking to us. So you had us engage banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etiahene speaking to us about our situation, especially after everything is done with the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration. He says if decisive measures are not taken, we will not be smiling in those years. And Charlie, the thing we say, Wahala day. So whoever it is, lace your boots up for a turbulent ride come 2025 through to 2026 and even 2027.
At long last, the battle has